Well, what we call cognitive transformation therapy, which in Thai I name it as a Panya Bambat, which basically means that cognitive therapy. Basically, what happened during the session is that all those inmates who were sentenced for so many years with the different crimes, what happened during the session is that what I did is basically trying to not add any more knowledge than what they already have it. Because these days we can see that the whole learning process is only adding more facts and factuality, and in a way that it added more burden in the way we are thinking. For many who are ending their life in the jail, we can see that many of them have their own way of living, and mostly they are poor economically. Even someone who is good at economic background, but because of their socialization, because of their surroundings, led them to a crime, different kind of crimes. So what happened is that the process of learning process here has a problem, because the way we are learning at the moment is that we are adding more knowledge and more, and that is how we label them as knowledgeable. But all the knowledge, what we got it within our system, basically we hardly use it in many times, in many circumstances. So they are burdened with knowledge, but they don't have that cognization or cognitivity of that knowledge. They don't know how to use that knowledge. So knowledge and cognize is totally two different things. So there is a big gap in the process of learning, in a way that you add more and more. For example, in prison system, we are trying to add more knowledge for them. For example, we have inmates who are doing the recidivism, and we are trying to say that how can we prevent those things, and trying to give a more academic background, giving them a more knowledge on that. Basically, those projects or the program is adding more knowledge for them, but which is they hardly use it in their life, because they already have it, a lot of those knowledge, especially shall and shan't, do and don't. They knew everything, which is illegal, which is illegal, which is irreligious, which is religious. Everyone knows for themselves. So the project basically is trying to add that gap, that how do you use your knowledge and make it as your own cognition. So if you cognize every bit of information you got it, then it makes sense in your life as an experience, not as a knowledge. But these days we are separating knowledge and experience. And if you really realize and understand what is going on with your thought, with your process of thinking, and especially when you act upon any actions within the society based on your knowledge, and that is how we are measuring human beings. And in the case of inmates, let's say that they have some imperfection in what we call a human. A normal human wouldn't do those crimes as they used to create those crimes. So therefore, if we I developed one theory based on Buddhism, is that making of a human. So how do you make a human? Buddha says that making of a human is basically that 5 aggregates. There is 5 groups of things which come together and make us a human. And those 5 aggregates are the formation, which means that we get a lot of information from our senses, and then after that we store it in our memory, our storehouse. Then we started to create a lot of problem with that, because sometimes just for the one information, one object, you have hundreds of information about that one single object. In a way that the memory started to clutter. The memory started to have a problem making sense of what we are talking about, the single object. So we developed what we call is the the OS system, operating system, to kind of analyze all those data, which in Pali is called sankhan, or compounded things. When you're trying to make analysis all those data, which is we have input within our in our system, and then it is a storehouse, then once we are able to make sense of those data, what happens is that the subject will appear there, subject as I appear there, because then you are trying to judge that this is a good thing, this is a bad thing, this is a sinful, this is a meritorious, and so on. So all those things happen because the I suddenly appears. And when you have an I suddenly appears, and you are able to make sense of what you are seeing, what you are hearing, what you are smelling, what you are tasting, what you are sensing, or whatever actions, words, and thought you are thinking in your daily life, then you are trying to label it as I see, this is what is happening. And that is what you call consciousness. So these are the 5 groupings of things which make us a human. So in those people who happen to be inmates these days, they have a problem within the fixing of this making of a human. So they have some has a problem in maybe inputting the data. Some may have a problem with a memory system. Their memory is limited, or their memory is not capable. Some has an operating system problem. Some has a whole idea of I as a subject, the whole programming system, and some has making sense of those. So once you are trying to identify, distinguish everything what you got in your own system, then all those inmates trying to make sense of themselves, who they are, and why they end up their life in the jail. So once they were able to identify their own problem, they are able to diagnose their own thing and their own mind. It is just like seeing themselves in the mirror. So if they see themselves in the mirror, they will know that, is there any mark in their face? Is there anything happen within their body? Generally, and on our face, we hardly see. But with this program, with the cognitive transformation therapy, they were able to diagnose the problem. And once you diagnose the problem, they will try to find the way to solve that problem by themselves, by practicing, by bringing up their own knowledge to go with whatever situation they are facing with. And once they are able to do that, what happens is that you need to have a feedback, you need to have a practice, a learning process develop. So all those things slowly develop by themselves, not by inputting more information or data, but by their own understanding and practice, and able to sense making of their behavior, their thought, their speech. So with this kind of technique, what happens is that one thing is that we have to teach them sometime to unlearn their knowledge, which is already stored in their memory, because a lot of information is cluttering, a lot of information is maybe stopping their moving on to the things, because there is what you call a value, social value, this and that, religious value has a great impact upon things. So in a way that in order to move on, these become an obstruction. So we have to teach them how to unlearn things, how to change their things, and then using their own knowledge to transform themselves. And the transformation is not only the temporary, it is a sustainable level of transformations. It is not only kind of an understanding, but it is a sustainable transformation. Then they can develop by themselves to get rid of their problem by their own understanding, by their own environment, and able to resume as a good member of society outside the prison world. So this is what I call this cognitive transformation therapy. It's a kind of a therapy trying to use their own knowledge and amend their own error and transform themselves in a way that it is not only the short-term transformation, but it is a sustainable transformation that they could see their value, they could respect themselves, they will have a self-esteem within themselves, so in a way that it will prevent them to commit the crime again. for many, there is a question, there might be a question saying that is there any difference between the CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and CTT, cognitive transformation therapy? Of course, there are two different things. The first, the CBT, or the cognitive behavior therapy, basically what you do is that you're trying to add on to the more fact and trying to diagnose the problem from the second party, from the instructor, from the teachers, and in trying to fix that problem from the outsources, from the way you thought that this particular man has a problem in their behavior, there's a wrong behavior in these things, and then how you change that by giving them new knowledge, add on to the new knowledge on that. Of course, in some cases it works, but in many cases it may be new information for them, and then if they accept that knowledge, maybe it will last, or it will last for a certain period of time, but I'm not sure that it is sustainable or not. But if we are using the cognitive transformation therapy, it is, instead of adding more information, adding more data, adding more techniques, but we are giving their own techniques to utilize their own knowledge, so in a way that they were able to understand in their own language, making sense of their life in their own language, in their own way, so that the things can be more sustainable than just kind of memorizing, just kind of referring, and maybe using the belief system. Because if you have to refer this and that, you have to believe on that text, believe on that instructor, believe on that religion. But the cognitive transformation therapy, we are trying to change that belief to be the knowing, to be able to transform themselves from the knowledge they got it. So that is two different things. I guess that the one is that from outside you are trying to change the behavior, but this one is that trying to change yourself from inner you, from your own self. So this is what I see is the difference between the cognitive behavior therapy and cognitive transformation therapy. Of course, in the West, I guess that you have a cognitive transformation theory, but I am not using it as a theory, but I use it as a therapy to really see the result of how it can be used in especially in inmates' life. This is a cognitive transformation theory generally you use in education system, but I'm using it in terms of correcting the what you call is the imperfection of human. So in a way that they can be a normal human being just as any one of us. So this is differences. INSPIRE project, which is led by Her Royal Highness Princess Pacharakitiyapha, is one of the unique projects which has been running around all prisons all over Thailand. And this project, what the project is trying to do is that how can we change, how can we transform those inmates to be returned as good citizens or capable citizens to the society. So this is a very unique project run by Her Royal Highness herself with the long-sighted vision that instead of just changing the normal criminals to be efficient citizens, the program varies so many different things. It's not only cognitive transformation therapy, as I am an instructor, but there are so many other things, vocational training, maybe even the meditation, or even the writing therapy, painting therapy, even they have a kind of art therapy by casting the Buddha image based on their own belief system. So these are different activities operated by the INSPIRE project in order to transform those inmates who are suffering in the prison. Of course, these are small hopes that it can be inspire them to go back to the normal society as a good people.